Hello everybody, Klaus here, and I'm going to end him alive now again.
Kraus, how'd you come back from the dead?
My wife fucked me to life, just as she fucked me to death.
Your wife fucked you to life as she fucked you to death?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That happens in the story.
exactly. Alright. So, this is me, I'm imagining.
Hopefully.
In the end, Cannon did not regain consciousness, even though Dr. Ninja and the rest did all they could to heal him. Of course, there were very little that could be done on an island like this without medicine and proper facilities. However, Cannon was the only human to ever confront the culprit. If only he could give us some kind of clue. However, at the time they carried Cannon away, it was already too late.
My sincere apologies. Without proper facilities, there was nothing I could do about such a serious wound. No, that's perfectly understandable. Thank you so much for giving it your very best.
Dr. Ninja shoulders and sprayed by violent spurt of blood, so it was easy to imagine the devotion with which he had tried to save Cannon's life up until the last second. Jessica was crouched in a corridor, crying softly. This is probably you, I think, actually.
Sure. Jessica was crouched in the corridor, crying softly. She had probably been taking care of Cannon until the moment of his death. George tried to approach her with words of comfort, but when Jessica pushed him away, he stopped trying to force her to talk and left her alone. If only I hadn't let Cannon go alone. Ooh. Do not let that bother you. If you had been with him, you would probably have been attacked as well. He foolishly rushed on ahead and paid for his mistake.
How can you say it like that? Cannon spotted the culprit and bravely stood up to them. If only Kumasawa had gone with him, the culprit might have hesitated and chosen to run away. Oh, that's me. Emotion-filled words that I never thought I'd hear coming from Jessica's mouth tumbled out. Kumasawa, looking truly sorry, could do nothing but hang her head. Jessica. You shouldn't talk to her right now. It's the same for me and probably you as well, right, Bella? We don't know what's going on, and it feels like our hearts are going to split open. There were tears in George's eyes again. Seeing Jessica break down crying probably brought back the pain of losing his parents. I had done my crying all at once, so I didn't feel like crying anymore. However, I understood how great the pain in their hearts was. It's okay, Jessica. You'll be able to meet Cannon again soon. Stop it. I don't need you trying to console me like that. Beatrice resurrected the dead even though that has been lost, so you'll definitely be able to meet him soon. Then everyone will be able to live in peace. So the one who killed Cannon is this Beatrice who supposedly gave you that letter yesterday? Where is she? Where is she hiding? I'll find her and tear her apart. Tell me you know who the culprit really is, don't you? What do you know and what are you hiding? Tell me, damn it.
My lady, please stop.
Ooh. Beatrice exists. Ooh. Damn it, let go of me, Genji. Maria knows who the culprit is, and she's hiding their identity even though she knows. She must be telling them what we're doing, guiding them as they kill us.
Jessica, be silent!
Jessica grabbed at Maria. Genji tried to stop her, but Jessica could not be calmed. The next thing I heard was the sound of Aunt Nancy slapping Jessica's face. Slapperino. After that, only Jessica's sorrowful, sobbing voice resounded throughout the hall. Maria, I know there's no way you're the culprit. You've been with us since the beginning. There was no time for you to communicate with any culprit. So I wanted you to tell me something. This Beatrice who handed you the letter yesterday, who was she? Although those words seemed kind, they clearly showed that George still had some remaining doubts about Maria. He didn't actually grab her. However, he felt the exact same way Jessica did. Anki, I already asked her the same thing a second ago. Her answer was the same as before. I want to hear it from Maria's mouth. Who is Beatrice? Even if I told you, you wouldn't believe anyway. What do you mean by that? Could it be the culprit someone we know very well, and you're keeping it silent because you're covering for them for some reason? Who gave you that letter? I got it from Beatrice. I'll say it no matter how many times you ask. I got the letter from Beatrice. George, do you refuse to believe in Beatrice because she's not an opponent you can hit? You want to turn your feelings of helplessness into violence and beat someone up, so you won't be satisfied until your opponent is a human you can hit. So even if I tell you the truth, you won't accept it. So it's pointless for me to tell you. You won't believe. But I'll keep on saying it, because it's true. Beatrice exists. The door to the Golden Land will soon be opened. I'll go there. Beatrice promised. In that world, Mama is nice, Papa is with us, and is also nice. I want to go there right away. Everyone is afraid of Beatrice, but that's only natural. So calm yourselves. Beatrice said so herself. By the time the typhoon has passed, I'll have ended everything, she said. Ouch. Maria, I don't mind you being talkative, but let's leave it at that for now. I'll bet this is all a pretty happy situation for you, since you're always going on about how witches exist. But keep that to yourself for now. Don't try to force that on other people. Ooh. I know I've been creeped out by this girl for a while now, but there really is something wrong with her. Don't you think so too, Battler? Genji? Kumasawa? What about you, Mom? Maria knows who the culprit is and she's hiding it. Okay, maybe she hasn't done anything directly, but she's definitely working with a criminal. That's right, she's a spy. We can't let her stay with us any longer.
Maria, you must realize there are times when indiscreet discussion is best avoided. If you keep adding oil to the fire, even I will get very angry.
Aunt Nancy glared at Maria with frightening eyes. Maria was used to Aunt Rose's loud style of scolding, but she apparently hadn't built up a resistance to Aunt Nancy's quiet sort of scolding. She shrugged and kept her mouth shut. A desolate feeling filled the room. It felt as though things would just get more complicated if anyone spoke. How many people have already died? 6 people in Dad's group. After that, both Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi Cannon and Grandfather. There were a whole of 18 people on this island, supposedly, and 10 of those people have been killed. There's more than half of us. And right now, there's absolutely no proof that the remaining 8 people will be safe.
At any rate, this is no time to quarrel. Now that we are certain the culprit can enter and leave the mansion at will and strike out of nowhere, we must give our undivided attention to surviving until tomorrow.
I agree strongly with Aunt Nancy. We could figure out who the culprit is at our leisure tonight. For now, though, we're better off finding a place to barricade ourselves in. As I said this, I pointed out the clock to everyone. It was already 8 at night. We had been receiving shocks over and over again since the early morning, and our bodies and minds were both completely tired out. There's still a long time until tomorrow. We needed to find some place to barricade ourselves in so we could rest our bodies and even get the smallest amount of relief.
I agree. Everyone is already pushing their mental and physical limits, myself included. I believe it would be wise to take that into account as we move forward.
That's right. There's a high probability that the enemy's got the equivalent of a master key. Was Cannon, and Goto holding master keys?
Yes, they were supposed to have them on their person during work.
We didn't want to disturb this scene, so we didn't investigate that closely. We can't eliminate the possibility that someone stole the key from them.
In the first place, we know the culprit may have visited the servant room at some point to unlock the garden shed shutter. It's conceivable that they obtained a master key from there earlier on.
There are many servants serving the Ushirama family, because of that there were several master keys. Furthermore, every time one employee started or finished working, the keys were passed between the servants, and we had to acknowledge that this had probably gotten a bit sloppy at times in the past. Even if they borrowed a bundle of keys from the pockets of one of the murdered servants, is there any safe place that even those keys couldn't open?
Because of the nature of our job, we have been entrusted with keys to all of the rooms. All of them in the mansion and in the guest house.
So in other words, no matter where we hole up and lock ourselves in, it'd just be pointless. Fine, who cares about locking up? If you're gonna come, bring it on, damn it. I'll beat you at your own game. The enemy won't approach us from the front. I don't know about the first 6, but if we look at what happened to my parents and Cannon, and even Grandfather, the enemy has gone after isolated people. They don't have the power to assault all of us openly in a secure room. That's right. It's just like Aniki says. And maybe Natsu's rifle could serve as a deterrent to stop them from attacking.
I hope that is so, but...
Maria, I know you want to say something, but keep it to yourself and stay quiet for a while. Ooh. Maria probably wanted to say something about how witches weren't afraid of things like guns. But if she were to say it out loud, the atmosphere around here would start to get pretty edgy, and she would have been shot. I noticed and decided to put a stop to it.
If I may, I do know of just one place that cannot be entered, even with the servant key rings. Where is that? That would be the Master's study.
Now, I'm against this. I don't even want to think about going in Grandfather's creepy room. How many keys can gain access to the room?
There are 2. I always have one on my person. The other was held by the Master himself, but just now I found this on the corpse in the boiler room.
Genji took a handkerchief out of his pocket and opened it, showing us the burnt and filthy study key. Then he showed it alongside his own key, which he had once lent to Natsui.
Normally it would have been proper to leave the Master key for the police, but because of the Master's orders to protect the safety of the study, I borrowed it for the time being. I see, which means that Kinzo's study is the only place where we can be safe. It would appear that way. I don't even want to think about being shut up in that strange room all night, but it appears we must acknowledge that his room is safer than anywhere else right now.
Even though Grandfather locked himself up in that safe room, the culprit brought him out and killed him. We can't be certain that it's truly safe. According to your theory, Grandfather cleverly found a way around the receipt trick and left the room of his own free will. If so, the room might be a good place to barricade ourselves in after all. You're too optimistic, Aniki. However, at that same time, I thought he brought up a pretty interesting point. After all, this gives us a chance to question the enemy, the witch herself, about how the sealed door had been opened. If we assume the culprit used some technique to kidnap Grandfather from his study, they'd have to show us the same trick again if they wanted to assault us in the study. And that'd give us a chance to make the culprit prove how they did it right before our eyes. If she's really a witch, we'll be forcing her to use her little magic trick to open the door right in front of us. But that's probably impossible. If you spin the chessboard around, it's obvious the culprit is acting in a way that'll make us think there's a witch. If she really is a witch, all she's got to do is appear in front of us and wow us with a colorful display of magic. Since she's avoided doing that, everything must be the work of a fake witch who wants us to think she's real. Therefore, a culprit who used a technique other than magic to defeat the closed room couldn't open the door before our eyes. Is Grandfather's room big enough to stuff 8 people in?
Yes. There is a bed, a sofa, and blankets, so while it is not luxurious, it will be more than suitable for spending the night. There is also a sink, a bathroom, a refrigerator, and a liquor cabinet.
Fuck yeah, dude. Whoa, that's incredible. But isn't that weird? You're saying he built another house inside his house? Houseception. That's pretty cramped for the last house of someone like Grandfather, who bought a whole island and realized all of his dreams.
That's right. After some point in time, Father probably couldn't feel at peace in any other place, even inside the mansion.
We always sneered about how he shut himself up in there, and this time we're the ones who are gonna shut ourselves up. Ha! Jessica spat the words out. Jessica, sounds like you would rather go search for the culprit than stay shut up somewhere. Of course, I don't think we'll be able to find them if we just start searching on our own. In the end, we can't do anything but wait. And it doesn't matter where we wait, does it? I'm not gonna run away or hide. Why don't we just take it easy on the parlor, watch TV or something while we wait for this Beatrice to appear?
It's perfectly fine if she doesn't appear. There's no need for us to be the ones to expose the culprit. Well said. We shouldn't take needless risks before the police arrive. Thank you, Dr. Nanjo. I think we should move to Father's study. True, we have no proof that it's safe, since Father was taken out of there. However, I can't deny the possibility that, as Battler reasoned, Grandfather left the study of his own accord and was attacked outside.
A while back, I proposed a strange theory as a stopgap measure. But just as Ava said, even though that trick would be possible, I couldn't explain what motive could have made Grandfather sneak out of his own study in such a troublesome way. Plus, Grandfather couldn't even have used that trick unless he knew that the receipt was wedged in the door. Aunt Ava hadn't pointed out that last part, but it's clear how absurd the theory was. So does that mean that the sealed door formed a closed room, just as Aunt Ava claimed? It is an undeniable fact that Aunt Nancy was the culprit. Is it yeah.
Yes?
If Aunt Ava were here now, she'd probably make that claim openly and blow my strange theory away. But she's dead, so I guess she can't. But anyway, I had to admit that a room with both a bed and a toilet that all 8 people could be shut up in, and with only 2 keys, both of which were gathered here, it had to be the safest place in the mansion right now. At the very least, I figured this would be better than just staying shut up in the parlor and hoping nothing could go wrong. But wait, have we been safe only because we've been shut up in the parlor? What if leaving that room and moving to an unexplored location is actually more dangerous? It's useless. It's useless. It's all useless. My flimsy head is about to break out in a fever. If I keep spinning the chessboard around right and wrong, and keep switching places over and over, and I won't be able to believe anything. When it seems like the culprit is one of the 18, I want to believe Beatrice. And once I start believing Beatrice, I want to start wanting to find the culprit amid the 18. If that keeps spinning around forever, in the end, my thoughts won't have taken one step from where they started. Whoever far back in the past was it that Kiri taught me about chessboard thinking. The concept of examining the situation by spinning it around and thinking from the enemy's side. I seem to remember being so interested by it back then. I used it to guide all my thinking. By the way, Kiri was my dad's co-worker back then. I never dreamed that she'd someday be added to our family. Didn't Kiri tell me something once? I get the feeling she once said that while this chessboard thing was one way to look at things, it certainly wasn't all powerful. And it wouldn't be good to rely on too much.
Chessboard thinking is my own interpretation of something called game theory, which I read about in a book long ago. It's a very interesting subject, so you should tackle it yourself when you get into college, Badler. I really
want to try it. If I could study my perfect chessboard thinking, it'd be fun to be able to read into any opponent's moves, wouldn't it?
But you can't believe in it blindly. Game theory is a very deep and complicated subject. Chessboard thinking is just my interpretation that skims the surface of game theory. In order to thoroughly read your opponent's moves like you're imagining, you need to study your opponent. Additionally, while chessboard theory is convenient and practical, it isn't perfect. It has many weak points despite its convenience.
Weak points?
Yes, chessboard thinking is founded upon game theory. When you thoroughly investigate game theory, it boils down to math. Do you know what the weak point of math is? It's noise.
In math, when you write 1 plus 1 equals 2, that process will always result in 1 plus 2 no matter how many billions of years pass. Nothing more, nothing less. That's because there's absolutely no noise mixed in. But for example, unlike math, the Japanese language has noise mixed in. Kanji are a good example. Old kanji and new kanji are slightly different, which represents an introduction of noise created by the changes between time periods. Isn't history the same? There are dozens of policies that seem foolish in the modern era, but were meaningful at some point in the past. Because the rules of chess are fixed, when a pair of experts are discussing one particular layout, it's possible that they could reach the same conclusion whether they're from 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future. However, if the rules of chess had gone through a massive change over time, it's possible that a discussion about the same layout would have changed as well.
That's right. Events in the world of humans are normally full of noise. Aren't human emotions that way? Even if the exact same thing occurs more than once, there's no guarantee that humans will always act in a predictable fashion. The moment we try to use a math-based theory to predict someone's actions, we must be aware that our theory has built-in weaknesses and limits. Simply put, chessboard thinking is extremely weak against noise and fickleness, as well as mistakes or incorrect knowledge.
That's right. Kiri definitely said that. Chess has always been a game where both sides play by the same rules and fight with the same conditions for victory. That's why it's possible for both sides to predict the other's moves. It's possible to read your opponent because you can always suppose they'll make the best move they can find. But what if your opponent is fickle or a bit tired, and makes a move that can hardly be called the best? Or what if the game actually has a special rule, some unknown thing that only the enemy knows about and can use? In fact, what if the opponent actually has some goal other than victory? Think from your enemy's perspective. That's the basis of chessboard thinking, which means if you misread your enemy, the answer you draw from this process will be complete rubbish and useless. So far, I've used chessboard theory to guess several vague bits of information about the culprit hiding behind this cage, or so I think. However, I don't know anything about the culprit. Am I just playing around in the labyrinth of thought? If Kiri were here at a time like this, she'd probably be able to notice something with her much sharper thinking ability. Until the very last moment, Jessica started moving into Grandfather's study. But in the end, Aunt Nancy persisted and we decided to move there. Everyone was completely wrapped in paranoia by now. Kumasawa had prepared dinner at one point, but during the time we were discussing the deaths of George Anki's parents, both the kitchen and the parlor had been left empty. Someone suggested the food might have been poisoned while we were gone. Because of that, we were unable to even touch the food that Kumasawa had taken the trouble to make for us. The manner in which the first 6 were killed is still unknown, but it certainly could have been poisoned. Certainly, that would allow even a single person to carry out murdering 6 large adults. Furthermore, this idea is made easy to imagine that there being only a single culprit, one who'd be afraid of Aunt Nancy's rifle, and this was very good for our emotional stability. But the fatigue and hunger were even harsher than we'd imagined. Then Kumasawa made a proposal. We went together to the kitchen. There we gathered some canned food and other things that'd be hard to poison to take in with us. All of Kumasawa's efforts to reward us with just a little dinner on the savage day regrettably came to nothing. The food piled on the serving cart just looked just a little sad. We all started climbing the stairs, and Nancy, who was in the lead, warily started into the darkness with both eyes in the barrel of the gun. Once we dragged ourselves up to the 3rd floor, just as Aunt Nancy had warned us beforehand. There was a mixture of chemical smell and a sickly sweet aroma, a stench hanging in the air that felt like it was eating into our heads. I see, this kind of stench would probably give you a headache if you were shut in with it for a whole night. I know it's a little late, but I'm with Jessica. I vote against going to Grandfather's study. It felt like the stench was floating out from this magnificent door. It was a door to which the forbidden study, which should defend against any who would enter. While Genji unlocked the door, Maria stared at the door and doorknob with great interest. Okay. Ooh, incredible door. It looks old and strict, and like it'd stop any jokes cold. A perfect door for Grandfather's study. The power to ward off spiritual menace is strong here. Beatrice probably couldn't open this door. Oh, what does that mean? Maria pointed at the doorknob. A scorpion crest. No, a design like a magic circle arranged around a scorpion wasn't described there. That design, that's right. It isn't just like those keychain charms Maria and Jessica gave me yesterday. Isn't just like that. The fifth magic circle of Mars is a strong ward against magic. Additionally, this magic circle is very diligently constructed and is full of power. Such a magic circle can be quite troublesome to beings of magic like Beatrice. Is that comforting? Are you saying we can escape even Beatrice's clutches in this room? Our little witch here sure is reliable. Then how did Beatrice get Grandfather out? Just as Balor reasoned. Beatrice can't go inside. Whoever she is, both magic and familiars, using them, she might have been able to get Grandfather to leave his study of his own accord. I've read about that in a manga. I've seen a bunch of scenes where vampires were frightened of crosses, so they couldn't get close. But their familiars were just fine, so they made their familiars attack. Those scorpion keychain charms I gave you yesterday also have the fifth magic circle of Mars on them. The powers dwelling within them was weak, but they should be enough to protect you until we leave the island. Although it sounds like you've lost yours, right?
Scorpion keychain charms?
Yeah, the charm I gave you yesterday was something I got from Rena. I heard it would repel magic if you put it on your doorknob, and at the time I thought maybe it'd be better if you had it. If you had it.
Is that so? I thought it was an odd thing for you to be carrying around.
And Natsu put that on her doorknob?
Yes, last night, after hearing about it from Jessica, I hung it from the doorknob on the inside of my door.
Then Natsu, you're really fortunate. If you did that, Beatrice probably couldn't even lay a finger on you yesterday. I think Beatrice must have been really annoyed. Beatrice, annoyed, couldn't lay one finger? Nancy, oh.
Hmm?
Yeah.
This is me?
Yeah.
Oh, man, Could you read the first thing that's there? Because I went past
Natsu
that.
thought back on the eerie scribble she'd seen that morning.
And then it goes to could it be?
No. Beatrice annoyed, couldn't lay one finger. No, it's where the screen is red.
Well, yeah, but I read too far ahead and my thing doesn't scroll, so I need you to read to where I am.
Oh,
I think it's just the
now
next
she thought
screen.
back on that eerie scribble she'd seen that morning, as though someone had been tearing at that at the outside of her door with blood-soaked hands, and gasped in surprise. Could it
be that this witch who called herself Beatrice tried to enter through the door to Natsui's own room? But the magic repelling charm had been hanging from the inside, so she couldn't break through the door, so she was annoyed. So she scratched at it? Are you sure this isn't you?
Yeah, because it's Natsui's thinking to herself. Oh, hold up.
This is Jessica.
Yeah, I know.
You good?
Yep. Alright. Quit it, don't talk about that. Witches don't exist. The culprit does. And they're a human just like us. If you need proof, why don't we dice her up
That
and see
couldn't
if
have
it
been
was
Natsui thinking to herself because it kept saying Natsui's name over and over again.
Well, then I think it was a third party.
I think it was still
It
Battler.
was like, how would Battler be able to get into her head?
What do you mean? It wasn't in her head. It was just showing the pictures of the door in red.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
Oh well. Damn it. How could you do that to Cannon? Click. Genji unlocked the door. 8 people entered Kinzo's study.
So bright.
Grandfather's study. I'd heard rumors about it beforehand, so I wasn't that shocked. He had done nothing more than fortify it thoroughly with his occult hobbies. If Grandfather's hobby had been chasing after pop idols, these walls might be buried beneath idol posters. Even if I didn't understand it, I did realize this room was a bundle of all his pastimes. Even so, I couldn't help but remain dumbfounded by the smell of his creepy medicine and that sweet stench that seemed to melt my head.
So dark.
Well, the door was closed and automatically made a clunk. I see. This is the auto lock that's activated whenever the door was closed. And there were only 2 keys that could open this door from the outside, both of which were in this room. In other words, it had become a closed room. The shutter, the receipt, the chain, and now the auto lock. This 4th door had the most magnificent lock yet, and this was doubtlessly a closed room. Just being absolutely sure that the room was secure, we checked it all over and for ways in or out. The window was tightly locked. That should have been enough, but just in case we tried knocking all over the walls. After all, we had talked about there being a hidden door in this room, but we couldn't find anything suspicious. Grandfather's study was very large. Even though we called it a study, it wasn't really a single room. It could be divided up into 4 basic sections: a study, a bedroom section, a toilet section, and a section for cooking that has a sink. I see, the study really does have enough in it to live in. Now I see how Grandfather could live his whole life in this room without ever leaving. It seemed Grandfather wasn't in the habit of watching TV because there was no television or even a radio in this room. We can't do anything except pass the time listening to the sound of the rain until tomorrow morning. Dr. Nazel looked closely at the chessboard that sat on the table in front of the sofa and he muttered. It was apparently the partly finished chess match he'd been playing with Grandfather until yesterday. The black had the white pretty well cornered, and it looked like checkmate would be reached within a few more moves, last part of the endgame. Even though checkmate had already been reached, the endgame had been rushed, and in the end, it was never completed.
Kinzo-san. It seems we weren't able to see this match through after all. Dr. Nanjo. I was Kinzo's friend for a long time, but I never knew about more than half of him. I believe 2 Kinzos existed, a wise one, and one trapped by some madness. I never understood anything about him. Especially when it came to Beatrice. It would seem like his personality changed.
In the direction of Kumasawa's upward gaze, a portrait of Beatrice could be seen. It was massive, like the one hanging in the entrance hall, but small and made for this room. Grandfather probably spent every day in this room and so much of his time talking to the witch in that portrait. Who was Beatrice to Grandfather in the first place? Right now, you couldn't just explain it away by saying it was a story made by the parents to frighten children away from wandering into the forest. While eating the canned food we brought from the kitchen, we talked together about who Beatrice was. Whether the
I'm Beatrice.
Beatrice herself. I'm Beatrice.
I'm Beatrice.
Marie's
You're a battler.
Beatrice. No, you. You mom gay. Whether the culprit was Beatrice herself or someone pretending to be her, whether they were a witch or a human, that was besides the point. The woman in this portrait was strongly related to the roots and background of the case. You couldn't talk about this case without talking about her. That's right. Mom, you picked up the culprit's letter in Ava's room, right?
Yes. I still haven't opened it. Let's give it a try.
And Nancy took out the western envelope. Genji pulled a paper knife out of the drawer in the study desk and handed it to her. While watching her open it, George grimaced slightly. After all, it was a letter left at the site where his parents had been murdered. There was a good chance its contents would say something unbearable to Anarchy, and Nancy, who also seemed to realize that. So she glanced over at the contents first without reading aloud. We were a little frightened that she might grimace after reading something shocking, but she just frowned unhappily.
What does it say?
There is one unpleasant sentence. It must be trying to provoke us.
Nancy, after describing the contents after deciding that the contents could be shown to the children, set it openly on the table. Everyone stared at it at the same time. Praise my name. What the hell? That's annoying. It's probably Beatrice just declaring herself the victor. Damn it. I'll bet you were hoping another weird magic circle would show up. It wasn't a magic circle, but my expectations haven't been betrayed. Nanjo.
Well, thanks. What could it mean? I wonder if she wants to tout her own existence.
That seems reasonable. With this letter, we now know that the author of last night's letter is the culprit. I think the identical envelope is more significant than what is written here.
Without a doubt. This is the type of envelope and sealing wax that the master used.
Oh, I don't know what's going on anymore. This is the first time I've seen anything like this since I started working for the Yoshiromiya family.
Going by last night's letter, Beatrice is claimed to be Grandfather's oldest confidant. Grandfather often said the same thing in the past, right? I spoke to Genji and Kumasawa, who nodded together. I guess it means you two know more about her than anyone except Grandfather. Could you tell us?
For a long time, I've purposely avoided this topic. But now that it has come to this, I can no longer do so. Genji, tell us everything you know.
Genji didn't answer. Did he remain silent despite his knowledge, or did he know nothing at all? Still, I had a good guess. The ghost story to which Beatrice had long defied among the servants. He had probably been very close to grandfather as his occult hobbies, so there was a good chance that he had been indoctrinated with even weirder things, and that increasingly come to deify the witch. As grandfather's most trusted servant who had sworn loyalty to him, he might be the most influenced by the illusion of the witch that grandfather had created. So there was only one reason for Genji to remain silent. He could speak, but it would definitely cause a backlash, so it was better if he kept his mouth shut, and it wasn't like we'd believe him anyway. Something along those lines. A short while ago, Maria had been more than willing to speak bluntly and unrestrainedly, and that had earned her a scuffle with Jessica. It was natural for Genji to keep his silence.
Was she father's concubine?
His concubine? That could be possible. For ordinary poor people, polygamy isn't only viewed negatively from a moral perspective. It's also an unmaintainable financial situation. But that isn't the case for the very rich. It's possible for them to have another lover, in addition to their real wife. We can't deny the possibility that grandfather had another woman in his life besides grandmother. Maybe, when grandmother was alive, I hear she was pretty sure of it. She thought he was cheating on her. I always thought she meant grandfather's imaginary witch. Now this is getting really interesting. You told me, didn't you, Genji? You said Beatrice has been working for grandfather since before the mansion was finished.
I heard that the construction of the mansion was completed in 1952.
That means this person called Beatrice was in a relationship with grandfather since at least 30 years ago. Could the concubine of 30 years ago, or maybe a relative or hidden child with that person, hold some kind of grudge and be planning revenge? Let's see, this is starting to sound like your standard Western mansion history.
It's a filthy topic, but the easiest line of reasoning to accept. What do you say, Genji?
I believe the master was indeed in love. Those feelings were certainly stronger than what he felt for his late wife.
Who is this person called Beatrice, and what's she doing now?
I have heard that she passed away before the mansion was completed.
She's already dead?
Yes. The master was deeply stricken by grief, and he devoted himself to the art of black magic as a means to revive her. The master loved Beatrice from the bottom of his heart. It was that madness which drove him to do all that you see here.
Again, just said this. He spread his arms as though asking us to look at this room filled with the signs of grandfather's madness. We were all at a loss for words. Normally, black magic seemed like it'd just be creepy, and it's really hard to imagine why someone might be so enraptured by it. Since Kinzo was just an eccentric who had restored the Ushiroma family amidst his madness, nobody had tried to understand him. The only thing on grandfather's mind had been the loss of a beloved woman, and his inescapable sorrow. Earlier, this room had seemed creepy, but in an instant it had changed into something we could understand completely. The creepy books, the magic circles, the medicine, all of it. It all existed simply because he wanted to revive the face of a single woman who had left this world over 30 years ago.
The master only told me about Beatrice's story once when he was very drunk, although I have forgotten the details. It was a deep, deep love, enough to make a woman like me jealous.
When Kinzo succeeded the headship of the Ushiromiya family, his marriage to his late wife had already been decided by the few surviving family elders.
So, he was forced into a marriage with some woman who would benefit the Ushiromiya family.
That is correct. Kinzo was installed as the head who would revive the family, and had to bear the entirety of that heavy responsibility. I do not pretend to know the details of when or where Kinzo first met Beatrice.
Guess it'd be rude to say any more than that. That was when Grandfather truly fell in love for the first time. Just how deep was his affection for her. That was easy to see just by looking around us. The room was covered with piles upon piles of things having to do with black magic. Grandfather spent every day shut in here, immersed in his research and isolated from the outside world, never regretting 1 minute of it. He couldn't help but recognize the depths of Grandfather's love for Beatrice. I had it all wrong, Genji.
What do you mean by that?
I've always thought that maybe your servants believed blindly in the witch because you were influenced by Grandfather's creepy black magic hobby. But that's not how it was, right? But acted as though Beatrice's soul at least had been restored and existed inside the mansion, they might have hoped to soothe Grandfather's heart. With closed eyes and the expression of one remembering something.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference, a little bit of a difference between the translation that's in the PS3 patch and this one, because the last few sentences have been completely different for me. But that's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed a little bit of differences between, as you were talking, but it was essentially the same.
Yeah, so it makes sense the grammar would be better in this, and then I think the PS3, the patch might revert it back to, the first release version. Maybe.
Maybe. With closed eyes and expressing one remembering something from the distant past, Genji had broken his long silence. In making that confession, he probably felt like he was betraying his one and only master in the most serious way, even though the person was already dead. Beatrice had revived as a witch, and she thought, as she is the mansion and is in the mansion even now, Genji had said it, had believed it, had made people believe it, and would take that with him to the grave. This might have been the last service he could offer up to his master. The legend of the witch and the mysterious tale of Rakajima that was still whispered amongst the servants. It's true that nature was a sad lie. No, it wasn't. It was an act of kindness towards grandfather who had lost the person he loved above all else.
I remember denying the witch's existence in front of Father on multiple occasions. Now, I finally understand how much that must have wounded him.
Right now, I can understand very well. If I thought I could revive Shannon using black magic, I immediately become the next owner of this room and start researching. Anki. Another strand of tears dripped from George's eyes. Maybe his tears were infectious. Tears rose to Jessica's eyes too as she sniffled. Beatrice said it. Very soon she will be able to revive people. You'll be able to meet them, she said. Very soon the door of the Golden Land will be opened. In the promised land that glitters gold, the souls of all the dead will be resurrected, along with the love that had been lost. Then I will sleep in a world of peacefulness for all time. Did she say that? The Beatrice who gave you the letter. You don't believe, do you? If only grandfather were here, I'm sure he'd be happy. I'm sure he'd be jumping for joy by now that Beatrice is about to be revived. In that case, I believe. If grandfather gave up half his life for this research trying to resurrect the old soul of the woman he loved and spend the rest of his life believing, I'll believe it too. Butler. When you love a single woman for so long, the people around you catch on to it, and it becomes the truth. Maybe you could say they're just being polite for the sake of your feelings. Bro, now, I'd like to call that magic. It isn't just being polite. It really is magic. She's a witch. It looks like nobody can see Beatrice after all. Some time passed. As we listened to the sound of the rain, we considered what kind of love and madness must have possessed the owner of this room, as he spent half his life in here.
If you ask me as a woman, then while I'd like to be understanding of Father's feelings of true love, it did leave Mother in an awkward position.
I agree. Cheating is cheating. No way to make it pretty. Yeah, that's right. Gotta feel sorry for grandmother. So have there ever been any rumors about a child between Beatrice and grandfather? The keyword Beatrice had been hidden in every corner of this case, so it's natural to suspect some relative of hers.
No, I have not heard of anything like that.
If there was one, a memento of his most beloved person, he surely would have given them all of his affection. Since he ended up immersing himself in black magic instead, maybe we should assume that there was no such child. Come to think of it, it reminds me of a rumor I heard. You know, right? That story about how grandfather heavily supported an orphanage called the Fukubin House?
Enough of that! That is nothing more than slander which would desecrate father.
Tell it, Saint Natsui. I think even you'd agree that this is no time to hide things from each other.
It's a worthless story. Father made massive donations to an orphanage and had the orphans employed as servants at the head family to give them some on-the-job experience. The story in question is simply some drivel spread by fools who claim that father was using those orphans for some filthy hobby. For a while, some guys even...
No, that's
Oh,
me.
okay.
For a while, some guys even said he was collecting human sacrifices for his black magic, and he really is doing weird experiments and ceremonies in the room all the time, so I half believed it myself. And these servants who came from the Fukin house are...
There are several of them, but Shannon and Cannon were the two scheduled during the family conference shift.
To resurrect Beatrice, he brought in servants from an orphanage as human sacrifices. After all, everyone's grandfather selected as a servant was young, about the same age as Shannon and Cannon. I was sure it was because grandfather had some bizarre hobby.
Jessica! Mind your words!
When Aunt Natsui scolded her, the atmosphere instantly went sour and everyone felt quiet. However, something was tugging at the back of my mind. Sacrifices, sacrifices. Human sacrifices brought over from an orphanage. What is it? Freak words like sacrifice don't pop up often, and yet I've seen or heard that word recently. Some part of my memory is tugging at me. Hey Beatrice, what do you know? I had arrived in front of the portrait of Beatrice. It wasn't as massive as the one in the entrance hall, but the portrait, which must have been drawn by some famous painter, was still as intimidating in its small size. Below it, just like in the entrance hall, was the epitaph that supposedly hinted at the location of the hidden gold. Sacrifices here. What the hell, Battler? You're creeping me out. 6 sacrifices. Both of my eyes were as wide as plates. Everything's been predicted right there from the beginning. Everyone crowded around, and the same expression of shock rose to all of our faces. That's right, it's right there in the epitaph. On the first twilight, offered the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. There's no doubt. 6 people died in the beginning, and even on the shutter where the magic circle was drawn. No, where the Hebrew was written, they mentioned the offering of sacrifices. Ooh, I've been saying that from the beginning. That's right, Maria said right at the start. Right after we found the 6 bodies, when Maria was in the parlor watching TV, she said it. Ooh, the culprit isn't human. It's just a sacrifice chosen by the key. This has nothing to do with the location of the hidden gold. It's the instructions for a resurrection ceremony using black magic or something. After all, this epitaph requires a large number of deaths. Quote unquote. Sure does. Even reading it quickly, there'd be 6 plus 2 plus 5. 13 people who must die. How many people are normally on the island?
It changes depending on the shifts for the servants, but there's father, my husband, Jessica, and me, and 2 or 3 servants. Today and yesterday there were 5 of them, but there aren't normally that many.
Which means that normally, there wouldn't be enough sacrifice to carry out the ceremony. No, wait. There's that rumor that grandfather was collecting servants from an orphanage to be used as sacrifices in a creepy ceremony. So what does this mean? He's increased the number of servants to increase the number of sacrifices and waited for the annual family conference when even more people would gather. Isn't now the only time of the year this ceremony could be held? When Jessica screamed this, Maria broke out in that creepy laugh, looking truly pleased. Haven't you ever heard of people making bets to test their fate? Like throwing a sandal and saying that if it lands right side up, tomorrow will be sunny. Or saying that tomorrow will be a good day if the coin lands heads up. There are many little superstitions like that. Sometimes when your luck is down, you can get bored and roll the dice and get 3 6s. You want to believe it's portent of some miracle. When flipping a sandal, you have at worst 50% chance. Even if you get it right side up, it's not worth much. But if you carelessly roll 3 dice and they all come up 6, you might think that's a small miracle. Magic words the same way. You whisper earnestly for an extremely unlikely result. Then the feelings from all those stored up prayers gain magical power and become incarnate. The magic the grandfather was trying to perform was probably like that. The key randomly selected and sacrifices in a lottery. So to reduce the chances that he himself was selected, he chose through the day with the greatest number of people in the island to carry out the ceremony.
Ridiculous! Are you saying that this entire situation was caused by a mere ceremony for some bizarre magic?
Natsu yelled. She couldn't quell the fear that the scorpion charm might be the only reason she was still safe.
If I hadn't received that charm from Jessica and hung it from my doorknob, would I have been killed, mixed in along with those 6? And the strangest part is, even though I hung the charm from the inside of my door, they couldn't get through that door. The culprit noticed the charm from outside the door and gave up trying to open it. A human couldn't have perceived that. A charm meant to stop something that was not human had done exactly that. Impossible, impossible, impossible!
But Natsui, the epitaph certainly does continue to fit even after that.
On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. Could this be talking about Ava and Hideyoshi?
Painful as may be, we must reach that conclusion. After the culprit killed them, they left the woods from the third twilight and led there. That's right. After carrying out the second twilight, they left the third twilight in that place. The third twilight was, just again Natsu, just read.
On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name.
Oh.
If you read it this way, it just keeps going on, doesn't
Sorry,
it?
I thought he asked Natsui to read it. Or maybe she did. Maybe that's what those...
Maybe, I
don't know. We read it. We read
it.
it.
Didn't have any name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill. Gouge the head and kill. George Onyx's parents were killed in with those demons ice picks, gouged to their heads. But if they were the second twilight, someone else must have been gouged in the head. That's grandfather. He was burned in the incinerator, and our eyes were so drawn to that part that we didn't notice. But his forehead. No, his head had been gouged. Grandfather was the victim of the fourth twilight. Then Ken was... On the fifth twilight, gouged the chest and kill. We thought Ken's case was an unexpected encounter with the culprit, but that's wrong. From the very beginning, they planned to lose someone out alone and drive something through their chest.
If the culprit has followed the epitaph this far, does that mean 3 people still have to die?
On the sixth twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the seventh twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the eighth twilight, gouge the leg and kill.
Yes, you could read it that way. Eep!
Well, I wonder about that. After those 3 die, it reaches the ninth twilight. Take a look. On the ninth twilight, the witch shall revive and none shall be left alive. We're all gonna be killed by Beatrice. I don't get it. Wouldn't that mean everybody does, no matter how many people there are? What was grandfather after? Doesn't this mean the ceremony would kill them too, no matter what? It's a grave no one's left alive. On the 10th twilight, we finally arrive at the Golden Land. On the 10th twilight, a journey's end, you shall obtain the power of the Golden Land's treasures, once and for the last time. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. Grandfather wasn't afraid of dying. Look at the second and third of the 4 treasures. One shall be the resurrection of all dead souls. One shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost. So grandfather believed he would eventually be revived, even if he died partway through the ceremony. Ridiculous, that's insane. When you die, it's over, right? The dead don't come back to life. Isn't that a miracle humanity's been chasing after for thousands of years and still hasn't accomplished? So is this what it means? Something like that? You'll be able to meet them in the afterlife where they'll be restored? If what you're saying now is right, would that mean grandfather whose remaining life is slim and who's been driven mad by love is committing suicide? No, a massive forced group suicide?
Genji, is such a thing possible?
I don't know. The master is a man who sometimes has the wisdom to see 1,000 years into the future. However, there are times when that appears to be nothing more than madness to commoners such as myself.
Okay, should we take that for a yes? What do you say, Kumasawa?
I don't know anything. That's right, I don't know. Do you think I would be on this island today if I did know? I would have faked an illness or done anything to take the day off, that's right.
What about your opinion, Doctor? Dr. Nanjo, you've been grandfather's friend for many years.
I feel the same as Genji. Kinzo was a man who far surpassed ordinary people. I've even felt a sort of inhuman power from him at times. Even I don't know what Kinzo was thinking when he wrote that epitaph.
All we can say is that even if Father did write this script, someone else is carrying it out.
That's right. At the very least, there's another culprit who attacked Grandfather Cannon. Furthermore, that person is still continuing the crimes just as the epitaph says. The letter in the beginning that we didn't think deeply about was what was it that was written there. We thought back to the recitation of the letter last night. Beatrice had proclaimed something inside. She had proclaimed that, according to the contract with Kinzo, she would be collecting everything the Ushiroma family has interest. But then she had also received a special clause. If someone discovered the location of the gold Grandfather had hidden, that right would be lost. When the letter was read, Grandfather was still alive. But at that time, it had already been sealed with wax by the head's ring, which meant Grandfather had handed the ring over to Beatrice while he was still alive. If we take a straightforward approach, maybe we should assume Beatrice is carrying out that strange contract with Grandfather, guaranteeing her that right. In other words, this was the same as saying Grandfather knew of and approved of the contents of that letter. In other words, it's basically a joint message from Beatrice and Grandfather, telling us that Beatrice will start collecting interest if we don't solve the riddle. In other words, Grandfather and Beatrice were demanding that we try and solve the riddle with the epitaph, and if we couldn't, they were saying that the massacre would be carried out according to the epitaph. What does that mean? What do they want? I don't have a clue what it means. Look, another letter from Beatrice. Huh? What did you say? Maria was pointing at the top of the table where the canned food everyone had been eating just now still lay. A Western envelope for Beatrice certainly was sitting there. But so what?
What in the...
Aunt Nancy let out a hysterical cry, looking between her own hand and the table. Because the envelope she had just opened, was still grasping her hand. So why is there still an envelope on the table? What the hell? What's going on, Maria? Where did that envelope come from? Just now I looked and it was lying there. Ooh.
I don't know anything.
This isn't fun. There's only 8 of us here. There's no way some 9th person snuck in. There wasn't enough time during the few seconds that we gathered around the portrait, right?
Get back, all of you! Back against the wall!
Aunt Nancy was pointing the rifle at Genji and others bellowing at them. Genji was overpowered, his face looking like he didn't have a clue what was going on. Of course I felt the same, but a few moments later I reached the same conclusion Aunt Nancy had. Until just a few seconds ago, there had been no letter like this on the table, and nobody entered this room. That means someone among us placed it there during the few seconds when everyone was looking away, preoccupied with the portrait.
Battler, open that envelope and read what's inside!
Sure. I picked it up. It was still sealed with wax. Even without disturbing its contents, I realized this was an as yet unopened envelope. An unknown envelope. Without relying on a paper knife, I tore it open and pulled the letter inside. The contents were as follows. Are you enjoying the riddle of Kinzo-sama's epitaph? As you are all probably aware, you have very little time remaining. Please abandon any naive hopes of escaping after the storm passes. This escape can only end with my victory or yours. When the time runs out, I will win by default. There will be no ties. Make sure that you do not misunderstand the current situation. That's what it says.
It isn't clear who put this letter there. However, I have been able to narrow down the list of suspects. It's you all! Madam, that's just too horrible. Just before I moved towards the portrait, I set a can of food down here, At that time, there definitely wasn't anything as strange as this letter here. And at that time, Jessica, George, and Battler were already in front of the portrait, and they didn't leave the spot in front of the portrait until the letter appeared. So the person who set that letter down is one of you four. Beatrice is here.
Ooh, we aren't Beatrice. Beatrice exists.
Silence! I don't know whether I should suspect one of you or all of you, but without a doubt at least one among you is the culprit.
That's right. There can't be a 19th person. There's no way witches exist, even when Cannon was killed. Yeah, that could be explained if Kumasawa was the one who did it. The truth is that Kumasawa entered the boiler room with Cannon and killed him. And then she lied, saying that he had already fallen when she got there.
You're making a mistake, milady. Why would I do something like that?
I don't have the slightest idea how my parents were killed in that closed room. But when they were killed, everyone except for the servants had an alibi. The only ones who didn't were the servants. But does that really mean it's okay to suspect them? Yeah, now that you mention it, they have no alibi for any of the cases. Nah. Should he really be so quick to make that judgment? But this time, in this room, in this place, in this moment, in this minimally small bit of time and space, it's obvious. Only one of the four of them could have set the letter there in our blind spot. We can't tell who put it there, but it's obvious that one of the four did it.
Natsui, please calm yourself. A lot has happened today. I understand how much strain is on your mind right now.
Dr. Nanjo, it truly pains me to call you suspicious. However, you are father's personal doctor and his closest friend. You have been by his side for many years, and you might even know about Beatrice. Could you be hiding some kind of old obligation?
Of course not. Calm yourself.
It was pitiful to watch Dr. Nanjo frantically pleading his innocence. It was probably a normal reaction to anyone would give if they were suspected. Kumasawa was the same. Ever since Jessica voiced her suspicion of Kumasawa murdered Ken, Kumasawa had been totally flustered. That was why Genji's still calm appearance looked so bold, and as he pointed the barrel of the gun.
Genji! You were grandfather's number one subordinate. Was Beatrice an illusion you showed to father with you as the performer?
If by suspecting me you recognize me as the master's greatest servant, then I count it a great honor, regardless of the circumstances. However, I am not the one who put the letter there.
Do you expect us to just accept that? You must be the ringleader. Maybe Kumasawa and Dr. Nanjo are your accomplices. And Maria, too.
Not content to suspect just the adults, Aunt Nancy pointed the gun relentlessly at Maria too, but Maria acted as though nothing had happened, or maybe she thought she would be fighting even if she was shot.
Maria, by this point we can no longer remove someone from suspicion just because they're young. So for the last time, let me ask the question that everyone's had since last night. Yesterday, who was the Beatrice who handed you that letter?
Ooh. Maria, don't dodge the question. Make it clear. Who gave you that letter? He. How many times do I have to tell you? It's Beatrice, 1,000-year-old golden witch. If you want to know what she looks like, just turn around. She's right there. Beatrice is. Don't mess with us, Maria. Enough, Jessica. Maria, too. Don't you understand the situation? What are you hoping to gain by saying stuff like that? Stop stirring each other up pointlessly. I don't understand. Who do you want the culprit to be? You won't only believe in Beatrice when you don't want to suspect one of your own. When you're trying to settle a grudge because someone who's close to you has been killed, only then do you want to believe in a human. You can attack with violence and deny Beatrice. That's why you can't see her. Beatrice exists. You all can't see her.
Silence! I don't want to label you as the culprit, but there is no longer any doubt that you enjoy making this situation unpleasant and are providing assistance to the enemy.
Then what will you do? Shoot me? I don't mind. Very soon the door of the Golden Land will be opened. Then all the dead will be resurrected. Right now, death is nothing to be afraid of. Mom, she really is suspicious. We can't keep her with us. But Natsu, please calm down. There's no reason to shoot Maria. Please remain composed. The letter was meant to provoke us, but it's nothing to be afraid of. Even the culprit is scared of what will happen tomorrow. They're scared of the police. Right now, this island is free from the reach of the law, but that's only because it's isolated by the typhoon. Once the typhoon passes, the law will return. So you mustn't shoot. How can you stay so calm, George? One of those four is the culprit. No, maybe all four of them are working together. How can you stay so calm when one of these four might be the culprit who killed your parents? Even I have the desire to find the culprit and kill them. But that would be simple barbarism. I will leave that judgment of crimes to the law. So no matter how suspicious they are, you mustn't pull that trigger. I feel the same as George. Aunt Natsui, get a hold of yourself for a second. Anyway, it'd be bad to shoot. In times like this, I hear you should tilt your head back and say, stay cool, 3 times.
Let me make this clear. Witches don't exist. Not on Rokkenjima, not in the Ushiromiya mansion. I declare it as Ushiromiya Natsui, representative of the Ushiromiya family. There's no witch here. I won't accept Beatrice. No matter what you're planning, I won't let you lay one finger on my daughter or the rest of them. That's my duty as a mother and as representative to the family.
Those words were the final words of farewell that settled everything. To protect her daughter, Aunt Nancy would regard any suspicious person as an enemy. The only reason George and I were standing on this side was because, by coincidence, we had a clear alibi regarding the letter. If I hadn't approached the portrait, I would also be at the other end of that gun barrel, treated like a criminal. But even though part of me thought that, part of me was thinking that chasing all the suspicious people from this room would finally guarantee her safety. Genji Kumasawa, Dr. Nanjo, all of them were on grandfather's side. Maybe you could say that once Marie started blindly believing in Beatrice, she was also on grandfather's side. That's right, they're all suspicious. But is this really okay? If we throw out all these suspicions, all the suspicious ones in such a lawless way, will we still have this right to defy the lawlessness of the witch? And Nasser didn't tell them to leave with their own words, but with wordless pressure she induced them to say that themselves. Because if Dr. Ned didn't say those words, this cold silence would surely continue forever.
Calm yourself, Natsui. Still, I understand your feelings well. I myself feel like there's something wrong with my head after all of these strange repeated incidents, so I understand well why you want to suspect us.
If you really have nothing to do with this, then my actions now would be beyond rude. However, please understand, just this once.
Very well. Let's leave the room. What do you say, Genji? Shall we return to the parlor and continue our chess game? If that is what you wish, by all means.
I don't want to. After all, that means we'll have to leave this room knowing that the wolf is among us, right? I don't want to, madam. Please forgive me. Eek.
It was obvious what Kumasawa was trying to say. If she was innocent, then she was being ejected into dangerous territory along with the culprit. In the current situation, urging her to leave this room along with the suspects was almost exactly the same as letting her get killed. Whoever Kumasawa was really suspicious just for being the first one to discover that Kanon had been murdered. At that time, everyone except Kumasawa had an alibi, unless we could prove the existence of some contraception or the existence of some contraption, right. Or the existence of some 19th person. Kumasawa was by far the most likely suspect. I didn't want to believe it. However, Aunt Nancy and the rest of us were in such a difficult situation that we couldn't help suspecting her as well. So we didn't say anything to stop Aunt Nancy from trying to oppressively chase them out of the room. We had stopped her from shooting, but we were passively agreeing to chase the others out of the room. On top of that, Maria spoke to the fretful Kumasawa. It's okay. Beatrice is kind to those who respect her. You believe that Beatrice exists, so it'll definitely be okay. I'll watch TV in the parlor. Let us watch it together. It's so boring here without TV. It looked like Kumasawa found Maria's roguish laugh very frightening. Whoever the 3 people had agreed to leave the room. Kumasawa couldn't fight the flow and had to agree, crying as she went.
Well then, Natsui, that will be all for tonight. Let us meet again tomorrow.
Yes, please understand, at least for tonight. When the police come, all of us will surely apologize for our rudeness. You may play chess, but do it in a safe place if you can. Genji, I leave them in your hands.
Certainly.
Oh, it can't be helped, can it? They always say that the most frightening bears are those with their children. Genji, Kumasawa, my sincere apologies. Let us meet again tomorrow. Maria, too. Please forgive your cold aunt.
Ooh, I forgive you. Ooh.
Madam, the keys to this room. I will hand both over to you.
Genji pulled 2 gold keys from his pocket and handed them to Natsu.
And I will also hand over my bundle of keys to the inside of the mansion.
He took out a bundle of about 10 keys of various shapes and handed it over. To the servants, those keys were probably proof of their position. Being placed in charge of those keys meant that they were relied upon. But they were forced to return them. It meant that they had lost that trust. Thinking about it this way, to Genji, who had worked here for a span of many years, there could be no greater shame. However, Genji's usual indifferent expression remained on his face.
Genji, I'd planned that, after father passed away, I would reward you for your many years of hard work and allow you to retire. To treat you like this makes me feel ashamed from the bottom of my heart.
I have already received the master's favor. Everything I have done until today has been in repayment for that. Please, do not worry over it. Well then, shall we, everyone? Good night to you all.
Ooh, good night. Good night to you, too, Beller. Ooh. Maria. Wait a sec. Knowledge of guilt made me call Maria back. I groped around in my pocket and took out that scorpion keychain. This repels magic, right? Wear it. Ooh, didn't you say you dropped it? Back then I got ticked off and just bluffed that I'd lost it. There's no way I'd lose this precious charm you gave me. Maria silently took the charm. I was unable to say anything after that.
Well then, everyone, good night to you.
We watched them leave, our expressions completely worn out, and we weren't even able to respond. Until the door closed and we heard the auto lock, we were unable to breathe. Then we were finally allowed to take a breath. After that, I noticed that Beatrice's letter, which I had been gripping this whole time and was soaked with my sweat, actually had 2 sheets. The paper had been tightly stuck together, so I mistakenly thought there was only one. There was no characters on the second sheet. The thing drawn there was a magic circle written with a red ink like blood. Just like how every magic circle ended up then had been different, this magic circle was one I'd never laid eyes upon before. Inside the circle, a large triangle and a small triangle were fit together in a simple design. Just as before, there was writing in Hebrew, and it seemed clear that it held some kind of meaning. I wanted to know what that could be, but we had just chased Maria, the only person who could understand the meaning of magic circles, out of the room. I thought this magic circle was Beatrice's second message. What does this magic circle mean? Damn it. After chasing out all the suspicious people, all we had to do was stay barricaded here until morning, and everything would probably be over. Once the typhoon had passed, when the seagulls cry, will everything be resolved? But the letter, which had unexpectedly appeared in the study, forced us to reject that naivety. It had made it very clear that if time ran out, it would mean the witch's victory. With times run out, is the witch planning to take on the offensive? This time, is she planning to display some fearful magical power? Maybe something that could be used to kill 6 adults at once? Wait, when is time supposed to run out anyway? I don't know. Anything.
With this, we should finally be safe. Finally. Definitely.
Even as she said that, Aunt Nancy couldn't stop gripping that rifle. There was no release in the tension of her expression. Of course, none of us felt like breathing a sigh of relief. At least not until we could hear the cry of the seagulls once more. Holy shit, my voice is fucked.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a long time. It's like almost midnight or something.
Almost. 11:30.
Yeah. Ah, shit, fucking... Damn it. Saberino. Boom. Ah.
Okay. So, do you have any final thoughts on that?
No. I don't know. I think Genji's probably most suspicious.
You think Genji's suspicious?
Yeah, they said that Kumasawa didn't have an alibi, but Genji also didn't have an alibi.
Do you think it was a good idea chasing them out?
I don't fucking know. Probably not. But yeah, I have no idea who could have placed that note there other than Genji.
You think it's Genji?
I think it's Genji.
Well, that's
Kumasawa, I don't know. I don't think so. Even though she was with Cannon when he died. I don't know. I don't fucking know, dude. I'm too tired.
You're tired?
I'm tired, yeah.
Me too. Well, you're gonna have some time to think about it. There's four more murders now.
Yep. So let's take a look at tips. Oh shit! Hey, cool. Praise my name. Did they? Did they praise her name? I can't remember. I don't think they did. Maybe they like almost did, kind of. Like maybe they all said something about Beatrice. I remember.
It just said it on the note. Really, they didn't really praise her.
Yeah, but I think I remember something. Some. Like them thinking like fondly of her or something like that, or talking fondly about her.
Yeah.
Like
when they were talking about how she was grandfather's concubine, and how I think I understand why Kinzo felt that way and locked himself up in this room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
these other tips, they're just the letters though.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for now.
Well, then we'll be coming back on some other day, whenever the next day of the next episode, whenever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be the finale, the season finale. Wow. And it'll I'm excited.
Yeah. Be pretty good. Pretty cool.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm happy that you haven't been able to guess everything. Cause you guessed that Ava and Hideyoshi would die, but then you were surprised.
Yeah.
I'm happy that things are surprising you.
Yeah.
Because you don't like it when you can just guess everything.
Yeah, I definitely don't like being able to guess everything.
Yeah.
Cause it makes things boring.
Mm-hmm.
So who do I think is gonna die next? Definitely. I don't think Maria's gonna die. I think it's either it's gonna be like Kumasawa, Genji, or Nanjo. So I think I'll narrow it down to Kumasawa. or Nanjo who are gonna die next.
You don't think Genji will die?
No, because I think he's like the main villain boy.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
So someone's gonna be stabbed in the stomach. Alright. I mean, with Nanjo's stomach being that big, I don't think it'd be that hard.
Yeah.
Alright, well, thanks for watching this episode of Umineko. I'm solving the mystery.
Yep.
It's 100%.
Yeah, he's going to
Genji.
figure it all out. It's 100% Genji.
Yep.
And only Genji.
Only Genji.
He's strong enough. He's strong enough to have carried those bodies to the guest house. He looks pretty big.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, they said something about, like, faces. So they were like, yeah, they might not be completely killed. Only Kroos and Shannon.
Yeah, if you go to the page with all the people on it, and then you can click on the ones that died first, like the first 6 who died. The ones that their whole face is bloodied out. Those are the ones who they were saying could possibly be fake corpses. Because if they have half their face, then they know who it is. But if their entire face is gone, then they could have just put their clothes on some other dead body or something. Or something made to look like a dead body or something.
Yeah. But that seems kind of fucking retarded, so I wouldn't count on that being the case.
Never know.
You never know. Alright, well, see you all next episode for the finale of episode 1.
See ya.